Uranium is $54 today. It is up 14% for the entire month, and it's outperforming the market. So is uranium stocks. Now today there was Blackpool buying, and uranium stocks are the highest shorted stocks in the energy sector. So I think that there's going to be a short squeeze. I'm going to show you the data and some big news to cover. Sweden is looking to possibly build 10 new nuclear reactors at their old plant sites. Now there is going to be an election coming up, but there is some major data to look through. The last video you guys got to 1,000 likes. Let's get this video to 1,400 likes because uranium's at $54 today, okay? Now, right here, I want to show you guys this data. Now, this is, as of the 25th, the top highest shorted interest percentage in uranium stocks were Energy Fuels, Uranium Energy Corp, and UR Energy. Let me know below. Give me your like number, and do you think that the short squeeze is going to happen and coincide with this fall refueling? Because we could really see a big movement, bigger than last year. Now, a lot of these stocks have 100% upsides back to their 52-week highs, so let me know below. Is this going to be it? Now, these were the buys today, and I'm going to go through the stocks. Now, Cameco, a lot of the uranium stocks opened up with the market. They dropped, but then later on in the day, they started to pick up and just take off because there's a lot of big buying volume coming in. There's a lot of money, okay? Now, we can see that this symbol, the DF, now this is going to be the Blackpool. So there was a lot of Blackpool buying. And then, of course, the end of the day, these T trades, usually you get all this volume that was not put into the market. They'll put it at the end of the day, and that's why you'll see it at the end of the day. And that's why there's such a massive spike usually at the end of the day. But this Blackpool buying, to me, screams that we are having institutions coming in, big traders, big buyers, and the fact that these stocks are the highest shorted in the entire sector tells me that we could see a short squeeze. Now, this is not what my thesis for uranium is about. You guys know this, but I have been known to call big squeezes in stocks. As you guys know, GameStop, August 4th of 2020, before anyone was really talking too much about it. You guys know that. But when you have stocks like this that are highly shorted, you know, the algos might be shorting them because the RSI is too high. People aren't looking at the fundamentals. They might be looking at the Z plant and saying, oh, there could be a disaster. It's another Fukushima. They read that. People are shorting this. And at the same time, you have record buying coming in, hedge funds coming in, possibly buying them up. Now, you can see UEC was the same thing. You had that big drop in today. Same thing, Blackpool. To me, it looks like there was a short position possibly coming out. And they're really just kind of manipulating the price. And like I said, this DF, you can see, is these alternative markets. That's the Blackpools. Now, this wasn't the only one. UR Energy, there's another one. You can kind of see the same thing. These DFs, they're very big, right? A lot bigger than the normal days we have. Now, this really, you can look at the stock, this one, and then UEC and Energy Fuels, same thing, was highly shorted. Now, could this have been the shorts, you know, taking profit right here and covering, trying to cover down here and pushing it back up? It is possible. We saw a big push. Now, uranium stocks did good today. We can look at the overall market and we can see most everything was down today. And we saw all energy commodities except uranium go down. Now, with uranium end of month going up this much at $54 now on the ask, is very bullish, but you can see a lot of the uranium stocks, their charts are pretty much the exact same. So when you see all these, look at this, UEC, Energy Fuels, UR Energy, we got Cameco. Now, Cameco was one that did not close green today, but with the data I just showed you, I honestly do think we are having some shorts come in. These are all on the radars, obviously, because these were performing really good, but you know, everything's really just starting to really look the same. You know, all these charts. Now, we're still along that trend line on UEC, as you can see here, and we're still looking pretty good. I honestly think that this next breakout, if we get these record buying volume come in again and we get spot price back into the 60s, there's no doubt that we could touch new highs, new 11-year highs. And Cameco was the exact same. Cameco had the exact same pretty much chart. Their trend line's almost the exact same as well, if you look back, and it's looking really good. We're getting a lot of publicity. And if we have a short fuel to short squeeze these up, you know, I welcome that. I welcome anyone wanting to short these. Go ahead. It's your funeral. This is going to be crazy. We can see uranium. This won't update until tomorrow, but this will be 50. The uranium is 54 on the ask. Futures are up. And obviously this is a really good sign. As I've been saying, end of month, we've got the refueling coming. We do have one of the reactors that I told you guys a couple days ago that went down for refueling. Could they be back in the market? I think so. If I was a field buyer, I would definitely be buying up as soon as possible. When you have all these funds coming in, likely you have obviously Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Now, this is what uranium stocks look like today. This is what they close like. And then this is the weekly percentage. So we're up. We're doing very good, right? In uranium all together. Now the gains, obviously I showed you guys this before, the gains since 2020. Most uranium stocks are up a lot of new subscribers on the channel. So you guys can see this, that it's not just a temporary play. Uranium stocks, obviously in March of 2020, they dropped to their pretty much all-time lows. A lot of stocks were diluted, up to that point, and they just saw this investor capitulation. And that's when I bought in uranium stocks. But I don't think that this is going to be the peak for all the uranium stocks. I think we're just getting started. And, we're still, even with a lot of these up this week, look how much they're off. So any of these stocks, if they're down 40%, 50%, some even 70%, you can see the loss gain chart. If they're down 70%, that has a 233% upside back to last year's 52-week high. We see $65, $70 uranium. I think we could see a new high in a lot of these stocks. Now, this is my sheet ranking. These will change. A lot of things are starting to change with the uranium sector with this new round that we're going into. But US producers, guys, now these 4 stocks, this is what I put on here, and these have been here. These were the top 4. Now I want to show you guys how much these stocks are up. So since I made that video, if you're new to the channel, go check out this top 4 uranium stocks video. I did a analysis of all 4 of these stocks. Since that, they're actually up a little more today because these closed green. But since that video, Centrus Energy is up 80%, Energy Fuels 52%, UEC's up 40%, and Cameco is up 35%. Now these stocks, I was day and swing trading them even lower when they were lower before this, but I made that video. But guys, I stayed true to you. I've put out videos that I thought not were going to get a lot of views. This video didn't get hardly any views, right? I could have pumped out crypto videos, as I said before, if you're new to the channel. I don't do that. I don't just pump out what is hot in the stock market. I've been talking about this stuff for multiple years from the bottom, and this is why. Because I really do believe that their percentage gains over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, even decade are going to be life-changing. And that's why I've put so much effort and time into it. So as it stands, those 4 stocks are still up there and they're doing very well. Rank each one of these stocks, I give it a number, and this is an unbiased thing. I sometimes really like stocks that might be lower down here, possibly. You never know. And this will change daily. But guys, if you want access to this, it's in the link in the description below. Now, there were some really big things that are happening today. So France doubles down on nuclear, joins calls for electric market overhaul. So the electricity overhaul, we really do need these new plants. France, a lot of these plants, they have some issues, 4 of them or so with corrosion. And we know a lot of these plants around the world, Switzerland, some of these plants are from the 60s and 70s, yet they're still getting extensions and they're still powering up Europe. Now, this was the big news today. We had Sweden. They want 10 to 12 new nuclear reactors. This is KD's party leader. And now, you guys have an election. If you're from Sweden, you have an election coming up. I guess it's on the 11th of September. Now, they're not necessarily in power. I'm gonna tell you one thing. Don't underestimate an energy crisis this winter in Europe to change even the craziest people's mind that are anti-nuclear. Because when the lights go out, when people are dying, and people do die from this, millions of people can die from not only the cold, but the heat when we're seeing this energy crisis go throughout. People don't have power. A lot of old people, you can't get their medicine. There's a lot of bad things that happen, okay? And this is really going to change a lot of stuff. If we start to see countries that already have nuclear power plants start to rebuild at their old plants, they want to have shorter permits at these and get these power plants up at the decommissioned nuclear power plant, and the restrictions for where they can put them. This is big. Geographical reactor locations removed. Let me know below if you guys think this is going to happen. Now, it's not like this country is anti-nuclear or anything. They've got nuclear power plants, and some of them are running old. Now, we're going to need a new push on plants. We're seeing the same thing in Switzerland, and the Switzerland president of the Union of Entrepreneurs, he said that we need new nuclear power plants without delay. I said Switzerland has these 4 nuclear power plants, right? These are the 4. Look at when they were made. The 1960s, right? Starting construction, 1970s, 1965. And these are still working, but they're going to need new ones. And, you're going to see countries that people really didn't think were going to be in nuclear, and countries that are going to extend their nuclear, come back into the markets. And I'll show you in a minute the data from that. It's pretty interesting what countries are actually looking at nuclear. Countries I didn't even know were thinking about it. Now, another thing with the Swedish energy minister, he warned that there could be severe power outages in southern Sweden, and this could lead to a strained situation this winter as the region's energy crisis is only getting worse. So they want to build, like I said, you guys want to build 10 to 12 new nuclear reactors, and this really could push the reactor growth. Now, if you want to look at this chart, this is pretty interesting here. These were all the countries in the 1970s, and within 10 years, there was 153 new reactors that came up at these nuclear power plants all around the world. And this was a 10-year period. And uranium, as I've said, ran $218. Now, uranium today is now at 54. This is wrong because uranium price went up. The ask is now at 54. Now there's over 300 reactors planned. We have 20 plus, actually it's probably close to 30 restarts and extensions, and about 55 to 57 being built. And this is not even including small modular reactors. So this is what ran uranium prices up. This is what we saw record uranium prices, uranium stock prices. So this is very likely to happen again. So Italy, their environmental minister said Italy's return to nuclear power will be highly possible. This is someone who was anti-nuclear. Now I said that there's a major crisis coming. Now, Italy was one of the thirstiest countries in the world to use nuclear power back in the day, and they were the only country really to phase out nuclear that was so pro-nuclear and had plants and decommission those. So to see Italy come back, this will be insane. Now, this was another thing, so Boris Johnson, you guys in England, it looks like he's gonna go out with a bang. He's gonna sign off at a $30 billion nuclear power station approval before he leaves. So this is going to be nice for you guys in the UK. People are starting to wake up now. So the Mexican nuclear plant is now cleared to 2050, the Laguna Verde plant with these extensions. It was granted today. The Mexican nuclear is also looking to double. So they're actually looking at more nuclear reactors, obviously, than just these. And today, as I've covered for the past week, today Japan restarts their nuclear fuel plant. This Mitsubishi Nuclear Fuel Company announces the restart approval. And now the thing is, they restarted this and they also restarted their number 3 plant today that I told you guys about. This is going to be in a trial period for the next few weeks before it's actually connected to the grid, but very positive news. Now, this Swedish power surge near record highs as well, you guys in Sweden. Now, let me know below, are you guys seeing this effect all over to, commercial, or is it just going to be commercial, or is it also residential? And are you guys actually, what are your prices? If you guys don't mind sharing, if you're from Sweden, if you're from Europe, give me that in the comments below and I'll probably cover it. I'm just very curious. Now, this was something interesting. So NPR, of all news organizations, wrote about nuclear, why even environmentalists are supporting nuclear power today. So this is something really interesting if you look at it. I usually don't expect to see anything pro-nuclear to this extent. Mothers for Nuclear, here, this is for Diablo Canyon. They're trying to push. They're at the California State House. So obviously Diablo Canyon's really big. That's why I think NPR is pretty much covering, seeing Diablo Canyon getting that extension. Gavin Newsom, of all people, trying to extend that. U.S. Department of Energy is investing $36 million into 11 projects seeking to boost nuclear power as a reliable source of clean energy and limiting waste produced by advanced reactors. So this is another program they're doing. We're not just seeing the fuel side, we're seeing that recycling side. So a lot of money is starting to come in. Now, I did see this ad out. People said, oh, the Japanese prime minister is saying that, walking back some claims about some of the nuclear power plants, but that's really not what happened in this article. Now, you got to give it to the prime minister. I mean, what just happened recently to the prime minister? You never know. People are dying in this energy crisis. People's livelihoods are changing. So you got to obviously watch what you say. Now, he said that he wants to look at all options, including nuclear, and as the new study goes out. So obviously the 17 plants, it's very likely these still come up, and possibly 30 is what they're saying. Now, remember, people got to be, especially after what just happened there, they got to be very careful. Remember, Japan has had a very intense history with nuclear power. The leaders there, if I was a leader, I would say the same thing. Even if I was really pro-nuclear, more headlines, ministers handed new power to fast track these nuclear plants in Britain. And what they're saying is they want to get these reactors out with less paperwork, with less permits. The process for these permits take forever. Sometimes they can't put them in certain places as well. But the new small modular reactors are a lot better because they're smaller, obviously. Now, plans for new reactors worldwide. This was updated back in July. These are power reactors under construction. You can see all of the countries here and the type and size of the reactors. There are so many, and there's so many countries that are planning to extend these plants that we just talked about past 40 years. These are the emerging countries. So about 30 countries are considering planning or starting nuclear power programs, and a further 20 countries or so have at some point expressed an interest. Now, they're really going to express an interest when the power starts to go out. And we're talking about countries that never had energy. If I think the craziest thing, the next two, we're already seeing obviously Egypt build plants. But if we start to see a country like Australia go with nuclear power, not just that research reactor, and then say like Kazakhstan as well, a real reactor for their countries, we're going to see crazy movements. I think that's really going to be the biggest sign to me that we're in a parabolic nuclear energy renaissance. Would you ever thought these countries would have been, like Congo here, countries with their GDP is a lot smaller. They're looking at it, and the small modular reactors are really going to open that door. Now, obviously, countries with a lot less population, they don't need these massive, plants. They can have small ones. So this is very, very bullish to me. And as I said before, I showed you that chart, a lot of these reactors in Japan, they can get them up in about 4 years time. And we're starting to see China get these reactors up a lot faster. And I think in an energy crisis, without permitting, and you got all these people working on it, we know China could probably, I bet you China could beat even almost Japan getting one up if they really wanted to. And that's what it's looking like they're going to be doing. Uranium. The United States must produce more uranium. This was from the national interest. I mean, we're getting mainstream news now talking about it. We're getting, small articles here and there, but they're not just talking about nuclear energy. They're talking about domestic uranium in the United States. And this is why I'm very bullish US uranium stock. This data is really interesting. Now, only 55% of you are subscribed to the channel. 44% are not subscribed. Guys, I give you this information for free. I break it. There's no paywall for this information. I put it out there daily, and I put it out in the community tab. So if you're subscribed, you'll get all this news that I just showed you. You get before anyone, before I make a video, before the market really knows about it. And that might have been why people were buying in the stock, because of the news. With uranium stocks going up daily in the past month, they're doing really good. Do you guys think that there's going to be some sort of short squeeze? Are we just going to see them run back up to last year's September highs? The only place that if you want to get it before anyone, even before me, because I might be sleeping because I haven't got any sleep, you can get it in the Discord. And that's where all that information is posted automatically. We got people around the world that are up during this time as well that'll post that stuff. So that's when you can get access to this. And if I'm buying and selling a stock, which I am up a good amount on a new trade that I've had. So if you guys want access to that, go and look in the link description below. I'm not sold the stock either. So it is pretty interesting where we're at in the uranium bull market, $54 uranium. And remember, Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is raising money and they have not really came back into the market yet. Uranium's already $54. We could really see these last year's highs and break past that, especially with the short squeeze. Do you think I should possibly do a live video daily? It'd be a little bit easier to do that. Let me know below as well and give me your like number. Let's get this to 1,400 likes, and you better hold on because uranium is about to take off and it's going to be a crazy ride.